So that's the best advice I can give. I will absolutely buy the dip in 2026. I've been taking some of my main bet of Solana and putting it about the question I get asked probably the most from everybody, and I can understand why, which is, when do I sell my crypto? Let's talk about the psychology of when to take profits, the cycles that we know are there, and let's just think it through together, because it's going to vary for everybody, and that's a key thing. So as we know, crypto is very cyclical based on this everything code thesis that I've built, which is there's a debt refi cycle that happens every 4 years because everybody reset their interest rates in 2008 to zero and then made all of the government debts in around 4 years, 3 to 5 years. And it's created this endless cycle, which happens to be the same as the Bitcoin halving cycle and the US presidential cycle. So we're faced with these cycles. And out of 3 years, crypto is the best performing asset in the world. In year 1, crypto spring, year 2, crypto summer, year 3, crypto fall, and macro spring, summer, fall. And then year 4 is the worst. And the worst is what scars people, is you've got to establish what are your goals here? What is your time horizon for your investments? So if you're saying, my big macro thesis is this space goes from, let's say, $2.5 trillion today to, let's say, 10 to 15 trillion at the end of this cycle, depending how big this cycle is, to 100 trillion by, let's say, 2032. So we've got the largest wealth generating macro trend of all time, and it's still in front of us. Yes, the early days were super high returns, but it's still super high returns. So we don't want to fuck this up, right? We want to capture that. So a lot of people start thinking, well, should I trade out in macro crypto fall, try and sell that peak and then buy in the bottom, and then I don't have to go through the horror of the 75% drawdowns? Let's think about this. Firstly, I'm going to give you what I did and the lessons I learned. So the first time I bought Bitcoin was at $200 in 2013. I had a 5 to 10 year view that this was going to be worth $1 million. And it was $200. And I discounted myself by 90% for being a moron, thinking that it could go to $1 million. So I said, listen, it's worth $100,000. This is $200. This is the best opportunity I've ever seen. So I treated it like a call option at the time. So I didn't put a huge amount of money in, but a decent size. And I said, right, I'm just going to forget about it. It kind of went up like a rocket ship straight after that. And I was up 5x or something very quickly. And I was like, oh my God, I'm clearly George Soros. I'm the best trader ever. And then it fell 85%. And I just didn't worry about it because it was a call option. At the time, I thought, well, it could go to zero. So I'll just see. Let me play this out. That's a macro time horizon, long-term time horizon. And I thought if I just hold it long enough, we should generate huge returns. By 2017, crypto's taking off again, and it's at $2,000. And I was now up 10x, and the Bitcoin forking wars happened, and I mid-curved it. And so anyway, I took profits, and I was up 10x, and I thought I was great. And then it went up another 10x in the next 9 months. 2017 was staggering. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. But I wasn't worried because I've made 10x. So I try not to have regrets about positions. And then it fell, and it fell 85% as usual. And 2018, there was all the tether fund at the time. There was a whole bunch of misery around the 2018 19 bear market. So 18 was that terrible year. Then it bases in 19, starts rising. I start watching it and then start digging in, doing the homework of, do I want to get back in meaningful size? And then I'm watching the chart pattern, looking for an entry, and it does this massive kind of wedge pattern, gets to the top, tries to break out, drops into the middle on the COVID massive sell-off. And I'm like, this is the opportunity because I know this chart pattern, the likelihood it's going high. And so I got in there and I massively sized up what versus my original bet. Maybe it's 6-7 times bigger than the first time I went in. And I've added since. I then went back and looked at what happens if I just kept my original bet, which was much smaller. I would have made 5 times as much money by not doing anything. That kind of upset me a little bit because I thought, yeah, I was a macro guy, I traded it well. No. And so all of the highs are higher and all of the lows are higher. And when you put it on a normal scaling, it keeps looking like a bubble and then this. And when you look back on the chart, these little blips versus this, because it's this gigantic trend. I then calculated, okay, what happens if I just added my original size? Again, it wasn't the biggest bet in the world, but it was good enough. Every time we had one of these massive drawdowns, so crypto winter. And let's assume again that Raoul's a total moron. He misses the low by 30% because market timing, this stuff is hard as hell. If I'd have just done that in the two cycles, 2013 and 2018, I would have done 25 times better. So this cycle, the 2022 downside, I didn't do anything except buy when I thought we were close to the bottom. And I started buying in June, and I got the ETH low in June. And then I bought more, and I bought some Solana in June, actually, which was too early. And then I bought again in October, November, and it worked out beautifully. And that was based around my liquidity cycle and where we are in this whole macro crypto summer stuff. And we were just finishing winter. So, and then I found I'd gone to my all-time highs in P&L way before the market had even got close to all-time highs. Now, it helped that I managed to nail Solana, but even then, by compounding and adding to trades into those, you do really well. So for those of you who don't need the money now, then I would take that cycle, the down cycle, with utter joy and add. Expect to see an 80% drawdown. Maybe it's less this time, maybe it's more. Solana was down 97% this time. ETH was last time down 97%. And embrace it, because every time you buy those lows, you're going to 10, 20, 50x, depending what you're buying. Just of major coins, right? So it is a huge wealth generator. If you imagine Solana last year was a 10x in crypto spring. We haven't got to summer or fall yet. We're just transitioning to summer now. So if you've got a long-term time horizon, you will definitely make more money by following that route. Buy the sell-off, embrace it, have cash ready for it. Right now, we're probably in the last opportunity to put cash into the market. So if you've got cash or you're waiting, now is the last chance, because after this, we hit the banana zone and everything goes a bit crazy. So if you're the long-term person, wait for 2026 and go, yeah, I can't believe I can get more and compound more wealth. Get some cash ready for that and be ready when everybody's panicking. You be the person to stand up and say, I got money. Because don't forget, nobody has money when you bloody need to. It was hard for me to find money because cash flows have gone down, because the economy's slow, all the other things that you have to deal with. I can't help you with timing the top. I know that it should be, by my work, sometime in summer to winter of 2025. But when? Well, my liquidity stuff says, well, liquidity should peak in July of 2025. Is that going to be definitely right? I don't know, but directionally it's going to be roughly right, because it'll look like most other cycles. Generally, the cycles have peaked at the end of the year, but could that change? Remember, the 2013 cycle was different. It was a super pump in the end, and 2017 was an accelerated pump. So of the three cycles we've had, the 2021 top was actually a bit of an outlier, but we don't know what the tops are going to look like, is my point. Okay, and let's say you take you've turned $100 into $1,000, and now you're waiting for the bear market. I will guarantee you will not put the same amount back in, because you'll be terrified of losing it. And what you'll end up doing is sizing the position much smaller than you would have done. And you play with a negative psychology of, I don't know when to add. And before you know it, you've actually screwed the whole thing up. When if you'd have kept it and added, would have been better. So that's one thing I think most people don't realize is it could be easy to take profits. And like I did in 2017, you don't have regrets, even if it goes up more. The hard thing is actually putting the same amount back in again. Here's my suggested path for most people, and maybe something I will do this time myself, is we don't know what the cycle peak is going to look like. We don't quite know when it's going to be. We do know it would be crazy early if it finished this year. Usually the back part of the year after the US election, there's usually a screaming pump into the end of the year. So my advice is use that in terms of time and not price. And take maybe a third off the table for lifestyle chips. Okay, now you can buy your car or your house if you're lucky, or whatever it is, or some extra savings, right? Take some money out of crypto land, put it into fiat world where you live, secure your lifestyle, the things that matter to you. Right, now you've taken all of the pressure off. You've done it via time and not price, which is towards the end of the year, I'm going to take a third off. I don't really care what the price is because it will be up a lot. So I'm just going to take it off. And then now I've de-risked my life so I can now run 2025 more intelligently. So 2025, you can then run with the rest of the money that you've got, the 2/3 remaining. And you can say, okay, I'm going to take some off by about the summer if I wanted to take more off. What I would have a tendency to do is if we do get a mega pump, the 2013-17, then take another third off when that happens. If it doesn't and it gets stunted, it doesn't matter. You've taken a third off, you've protected your lifestyle, and then you can then buy some cash with that. If you keep that cash, you can buy the dip, or you use it to, as I said, for your lifestyle chips. But this way, you're now ready for whether it stops early, you don't care because you've taken your money off the table, but you're still in the game. But if it really goes wild, you take a bit more off. And then you've still got a position. Because if you don't have a position in a secular market, I think you end up making suboptimal choices. I think it's too important a trend to fuck this up. So that's the best advice I can give. I will probably do the third off strategy this time around because I've got some lifestyle stuff I want to do. I did not last time, and I was bloody happy with not doing anything but buying the dip. I will absolutely buy the dip in 2026 because this trend is going to keep going. Let the cyclicality be your friend. Understand that there are seasons that you can use to your advantage. We are transitioning right now, and I'm talking to you, this is Sunday the 12th of May, I'm recording this. We are just transitioning where we're about to hit crypto summer. And that usually happens June, July of the season cycle. And then it goes bananas. Of course, there will be corrections and there will be sharp corrections. 30, 40% can happen. But it usually goes up into the banana zone from here. That's when you've got to be careful not to lose your mind and fuck this up doing other things you shouldn't be doing, like putting all your portfolio into meme coins because they're going up the most, because you want to maximize profit. Think of this as a longer term game. The other thing that I have been doing is I've been taking some of my main bet of Solana and putting it into NFTs, which is another thesis. And this is Xcopy and Beeple, and two artists. I've bought some others, but the two artists where I think that a huge amount of that 100 trillion of wealth will end up being stored in high-end art that stays within crypto land. And I'll talk about that thesis another time. So I've been taking some profits into assets, long-term assets, but really, for me, I'll take a third off and then run the rest. I don't want to mess around with it too much. I like the end of the year because it's usually the end of this year because it's usually kind of pump-tastic. And you'll feel pretty decent about taking some money off. It'll feel like significant money. You won't feel like it's too early, but it'll be enough that can make the lifestyle difference. And that gives you the psychology to succeed. For those of you who really want to compound wealth, again, don't do anything and buy the sell-off.